welcome back to So What'd You Learn, the podcast where we learn from other people's mistakes and life lessons, so hopefully you don't have to. I am Alex.
I'm Zach.
I'm Dallas.
And returning from our previous episode is my good friend and favorite storyteller, Whitney.
Hey.
Our first two-parter.
Woo!
Two-parter.
I'm honored.
Yeah.
Twice the parts.
All right. So last episode, Whitney told about
Six.
six stories, and we have recompiled a list. So we're starting back from 1 to 7 or so.
Yeah.
So we will be rolling the die, because I know grammar.
The dice of wisdom.
Yes, the wisdom die. We'll be rolling that to decide what order these go in. Except you, the other one, you can, if you want to save it to the end, it's up to you.
Yes.
I wasn't listening. I'm sorry. I apologize. I was confirming on my list that I had 7 or 6.
Fair.
But since I'm rolling the dice randomly,
I have 7, yes.
depends on if you want one as a final story.
Can save that,
you can save it for the end.
Oh.
If you want, you know.
Okay, gotcha, yeah.
Because we're not about rules here.
So
God.
if the 7 rolls, that'll be pushed to the back of the episode.
Yes, or we
Okay.
can just ignore it.
Cool.
And
Great.
then it'll
Cool.
just happen when it happens.
Yeah.
All right.
You know.
Well,
Because I want it to be random, but I want it to be predictable.
Hmm.
You know, because I hate change.
It's called random with guardrails.
Yeah, I love bowling with bumpers.
Yeah. It
No,
makes
but
it
just
more
like one
fun.
bumper, not both.
So you can just whip it against one side of the.
That's evil. I love it. Okay.
All right.
Are we ready?
Can
Yeah.
we go bowling later?
Yes.
I hate bowling. It's the
Yes,
worst.
Dallas, please. Alex,
Just-
please.
Tequila Dallas is just bowling alone. Into the night.
New band name, Tequila Dallas.
Okay, we have number 4.
Yes.
Number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, man. Okay. Man, I just added this to the list. Well, I mean, we all love good dating stories.
Yes, we do.
Yay.
Got a lot of those on this podcast.
Yeah, okay. So I'm just like kind of a dumpster fire of dating stories. But this one, don't worry, comes from 2 months ago.
Oh, wow.
So I had met a gentleman on an app that will remain nameless.
Grinder.
Well, my first instinct about him was that he belonged on Grindr, and I didn't know how to tell someone that I thought they were gay. Like gut instinct. I was like, he's everything I want on paper. I think he likes men and doesn't know it.
But he has a mustache, and I don't know how to feel about it.
No, it wasn't anything like that. He just had a better pedicure than me, and he had painted nails, and then he was just more feminine. Yeah, not you. No, it wasn't like a quality or a thing that I was like, wow. I'm sorry. That's not toxic masculinity, so I don't know how to be attracted to it. It wasn't like that. It wasn't that at all. I wasn't like, you know what? I feel like I could beat you in an arm wrestling contest, and I'm not attracted to you.
Also, how many straight men know for a fact they don't have a gag reflex? Just saying.
Good point.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Dallas.
there's really no date
Tequila
on
Dallas. Oh, well, no, we're done.
this. You sit back in the
Tune into a
corner
later episode.
Do you think?
like a late night Skinamax type. So you know, whatever. He was like such a great guy, and he was so nice, and I thought like we would date, and I confronted him. I mean, it's not a confrontation. I was just like, so like let's play Would You Rather, like me or a man. Like what?
So just flat out, just like, who do you want to fuck? Me or, some hunky man?
Yeah, and he talked about, he was like, just like, I haven't just had sex with people in a while, and I was like, when you say people, just, is there natural, like, what do you, like, what? There were just like a lot of things and kind of how we talked, and I was like, okay, I know I just have a feeling it's not like a characteristic or a mannerism or something that this person is doing.
Every time he refers to his previous relationship, he uses the word partner, and you're just like, God damn it.
Actually, yes, but there was just like like, have you ever met someone and just been like, I just feel like they're a prolific gambler. I don't know why. I just have this like gut instinct
about a person.
And I have
Sometimes
no
I get
idea.
that when I look in the mirror. Can't pinpoint what's wrong.
So you get it?
I
You
guess.
get it.
As you take a swig of Bud Light, just like, I don't know what the problem is.
I don't know what it
But
is.
you keep your Bud Light in a Listerine bottle.
Oh,
I can't get the Listerine back into the Bud Light bottle.
Solid
Hey,
callback.
some of just my solid and some of my worst nights, obviously. Yeah. So they were just like, I just had like a feeling of like, I don't think he's into me, not because of that, but okay. So I thought he was about to have the relationship discussion with me about like settling down, and I had been dating other people, and so I just felt like it was coming. And he told his friends about me, yada, yada, yada. So I have this girls' weekend in Chelan. And on the way there, I told my friend, I think that he's about to, tie me down.
Like it'd be exclusive. Like
I
have the
think
the
he's-
exclusivity
Yeah,
conversation.
I think we're
Yeah.
going to have the exclusive
This
conversation.
is the boyfriend-girlfriend trip
Yes.
that we're on. Yeah.
So I feel like he's going to say this. Oh, so I'm going on the girls' trip to Chelan.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And
Yeah.
he's back here.
I'm sorry. Yes.
And I'm just telling my friend, I think he's about to like bring it up. And so basically I need to bang someone this weekend. Just saying.
Just saying.
And
like a solid bachelorette party. You had to,
get
this
one
is the
last
final
hurrah.
one out. Yeah.
yeah, and I just told her, now I had a lot of Red Bull and I'm really weird with caffeine, so whatever. The first time I had cold brew, just saying, I stayed up till 5 a.m. and I opened an Etsy shop. So like I'm not safe for caffeine.
Intense.
Yeah.
What were you
That's my
selling?
favorite story so far.
For like
I got
like
all fucked up at cold brew and opened an Etsy shop. That is the most Seattle thing I've ever.
Bruh, no. It was a real, like for 72 hours I had a card shop,
Intense.
Yeah, it was a big, but Cold Brew Me designed a logo, set up shipping. I mean, I did a lot in those.
You should have a card that says,
Million.
"Don't worry. Sometimes people, if you're in a crowded room and you feel alone, it's because you look like a douchebag."
I'm so glad that you came to talk to me. Well, Paul. Touch.
We've got some
Just
words
touch.
to share.
Yeah. Da, da, da. It's like really cute and like Hallmark on the outside, and you open it up and it's like Comic Sans. It's 'cause you look like a douchebag. And then it's just a middle finger shitty emoji. It's not even clear. It's like pixelated.
Like they clearly printed this on a Windows 95 printer. And
100%.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so me, I'm caffeinated, right? I've had Red Bull, may have had a road soda. I'm already tired
What's a
because
road soda?
it's booze in
Okay.
a coffee cup.
Okay.
That I'm like
I've
passenger
never heard
seat.
that term.
And my friend was driving the Tesla, and I was like, oh my. She's like, well, just put it on auto, and I was like, so I'll be drinking, fine, great, because if I'm going out, I don't want to know. So I was in like a weird mood, and then we stopped at a winery, and I just told her, like, look, if I'm about to be tied down, and I've been single for a long time, it's kind of my legacy. Been a free agent. No one's picked me up, in the NFL draft. And then now I feel like the Patriots are coming for me. Gotta bang a stranger. All right?
I gotta bang out a few on the practice squad before
Right?
I go up to the major leagues. So to speak.
Exactly. It's the
Yeah.
same reason people are like, diet starts on Monday. Cinnabon.
It's your
Same.
cheat
Diet
day.
starts on
It's my
Monday.
cheat day.
Your cheat dick day.
Exactly. Cheat dick day. So we go out that night, and so we started a winery, and I'm like Red Bulling, and I am everywhere. Then we have wine. Great. Let's some uppers, some downers. Then what are we doing? So we go to a shitty small town bar in Manson called My Buddy's Place. Great.
Great.
My God, I love it.
Great.
My
buddies. Let's
buddy.
go over to my buddy's place.
100%. Exactly. We're just going to my buddy's place.
Wait, now I don't like it as
that's
much anymore.
No,
it's
that's why.
wonderful.
That's like why it's great that you can say like, oh, it's my buddy's place.
Right.
Yeah, so it's charming. It's shitty. Okay, so
Shitty and
I'm waiting in line. They're carting us at the door, and I'm wiping the mascara out of the corner of my eye. I get
Beautiful.
to the bouncer. Yeah, I mean I
Bouncer?
look great. Wow, great. We get to the bouncer. It's like a counselor bouncer. It's like a therapist. Like you just get like a quick sesh outside,
Sure.
and you just ask him like, "Hey, look, how's my outfit look?"
And then now we're
Just get me ready for the game, and then I get inside.
Yeah.
So I'm wiping
Like a
the
fluffer.
makeup. Yeah, I'm wiping the makeup out of my eye, and he says, "Oh my God, are you crying?" And I don't miss a beat, and I like snatch my ID from him, and I say, "No, I make people cry."
good.
And fucking don't break eye contact. I wish I would have kicked the door open, but it was already open.
Yeah.
And I get in there, and
But
I'm
she didn't
just
have
like,
heels on, so.
no, I probably
And your
didn't. No,
sash.
I probably no sash, no heels. I got nothing. I'm wearing some like shitty orthopedic flats from Target. I walk in, and it's not a moment. I just walk in and politely order a round of beverages for my friends. So we go in. One of our friends grew up around there, and she's like, "Oh, I know all these guys," and it's like 4 super cute guys. And one of my married friends is like, "You need to fuck this one." And I was like, "Wow, I'm sorry." And she's like, "For me, like do it for me. I need you to do it for
Jump
me."
on this.
Vicariously.
Yeah, I need
yeah,
you to.
like-
I need you to. Yeah, vicariously, vicarious dick, please. Thank you. She really told me. She didn't ask. She didn't like. Do you like think he's nice? Or she was just like this one, with the beard for me. So I was like, that's a lot of pressure.
I hate to interrupt, but I have to leave. I have to go see a professional wrestling show.
Are the little people wrestling or regular wrestling?
Regular wrestling,
Okay.
but tune in to 3, 2, 1 battle and see if I'm on the show.
Yeah, do it. Have fun.
Oh, like in the crowd?
Sure.
No, on stage.
Oh.
He becomes a
In
part
the
of it.
ring.
Man. All right. Yeah.
Bye, Wrestle Buddy.
Pleasure, Zach. Have a great night. I hope. Oh,
Oh, wow. Got it.
I want to hear more about the wrestling. Right.
Please
I
put
need
Gene
to.
back in his place.
Oh, yes.
Gene Simmons is looking at us, and he has great. He's been properly restored.
We may continue.
So we make it into the bar. Obviously, we're talking to these gentlemen, and then there's karaoke. I hate karaoke. Everyone should know this. If I ever call you and I'm like, "Hey, we're having karaoke. You should come over," I'd be like, "She's been kidnapped. Find my phone app. She fucking hates it." No,
So do you hate being at karaoke or doing karaoke or both?
I think it's doing karaoke, but being at it like
the
increases the
anxiety.
risk of
Yeah.
doing it, and people are like, "Oh, just come stand with us and like dance," and then there's like always a magical 16th microphone out of fucking nowhere, like magician behind the ear. Boop! Oh, we found a cordless mic just for you.
Just for you.
Great.
You don't have to
Turned
come up,
all the
don't
way
worry.
up to goddamn 11.
You can
Here
sing
you go.
from your seat.
These go to 11.
They always do. When it's me, it always goes to 11. It's dangerous.
Gathered
So.
that.
So we're on this like outside deck, and we're dancing, and I've been drinking whiskey in solo cups, and I don't know what, like apparently they knew, they were like, she's not driving, so we can like kill her with whiskey, it's fine.
In time.
So we're drinking. I also have the alcohol talent of my grandfather, which I'm like super grateful for. He's a badass. He's still alive. He's 97. We do shots. It's okay.
Sweet. What's
Sweet.
his alcohol of choice?
Jim Beam. I like to call it James Beam because my grandfather's a gentleman. So it's James B. Beam.
James F. Beam.
Thank
Oh,
you.
is it B Beam?
I think it's B Beam.
B-Beam?
I mean, we can put some money on it. I don't know, but I feel like I've looked at a lot of bottles in my life. I don't know. So
And my reflections inside of them.
yeah, it's like a time capsule. Just like
Yeah.
a handle of Jim.
That's how I tell if somebody's behind me. It's the
Wow.
reflection in the bottle.
Wow, that's a lot of pressure. What kind of life are you living? Let's hear more about this. So we're at this shitty bar, and you know how it started. Now the bouncer, because of the whole like me flipping the script and being like, no, I make people cry. We're like best friends. So like he comes and hangs out, and I'm like, don't you have a job? Like if you're hanging out on the dance floor, who is keeping the underage pieces of shit out? We never know. So who knows who got a drink on my behalf that night? At one point, we're like joking, and I've given him shit. He headbutts me.
What?
The bouncer of this bar in Manson, Washington, crown to motherfucking crown, boop, headbutts me. And I'm like, I don't really know what to do, because if this happened with anyone else, I would report it to the bouncer.
He
Wow.
headbutted you on purpose? Just like...
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a
Like a
playful headbutt,
gentle headbutt, if there's
but
such
it's
a thing.
still-
Just like a gentle. I mean, it rang in my ears. That's fine, right?
Wow.
Boop. Okay. So, you know, we're having this whatever night. The bathroom is like every like horror movie you've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
And we're dancing again, and my friend is like, you need to bang this guy that I want you to bang. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I like that guy at home. And then I'm on the dance floor, and this guy walks in with a backward hat on and a tight t-shirt, and someone just yells, nipples. And he flashes his nipple rings, and I just said, dibs.
Yeah, he's the one.
You'll do.
Oh, dream weaver. And then like
Can't wait to lick
the,
your
like,
nipples in the night.
the like tiki
Sorry.
torch light just
just
really
came in.
zoned in on him. And, we danced, and apparently I forced myself on him and made him kiss me. And I made him carry me out of the bar, which drunk me is very, confident. Confidence of a serial killer. We've established this.
We got it.
I will break your personal boundaries. So he carries me out, which you can't, piggyback someone out of a door. So there's, a really shitty, dismount. I may have fallen. Who can say?
Yeah. No.
And then he carries me 2 doors down, and that's his house. So I stay there.
He just
in the
popped in for a quick second.
Yeah, he probably accidentally was just like, look, I just want some water, and then there's this drunk bitch who's like a fucking moth to a flame. Somebody said nipples, and this girl's trying to climb me like a tree. I don't know. She's in town. I guess I'll show her a good time. No, he was great. So I stay there that night, and then in the morning, he had this great Chelan CrossFit T-shirt. So I traded my thong for it unnecessarily. I bartered for a shirt to wear to fucking brunch. Okay, so I showed up to brunch. He took me to brunch, and I just tied off this tee that was too big, the T-shirt that was too big for me. I was still hammered, and they were like, "Do you want mimosas?" And I was like, "I don't know. Do you have pomegranate juice?" Like an asshole, Do you
have a kale salad?
Do you have a kale? It's 9:30 in the morning. Do you do a kale salad? Gluten free? Egg whites? Is there? I don't know.
Do you have vegan
I'm
dressing?
not sure. Yeah. I was like a piece of shit. So I'm so drunk. And I'm telling this story too loud to my friends in a small town. And this other table falls silent and they start listening. Same happens behind me. And I'm like, all right. So no, let's not do this. Because it's a small town. And then my friend was like, yeah, they definitely know him. And I'm like, okay. Okay. I can't keep this in for long. Check, please. We need to move. Someone was like, I got a bottomless mimosa, and I was like, I can't fault you for your decisions, but it was really a bad time to do that. We need to go. So, the weekend continues, and he comes out with us Saturday night, and we're hanging out with our friends. They gave me a bucket list of things to do while we were out. I'm definitely an achievement-based person. One of them was to motorboat someone's butt. So I went to try to do it, but I accidentally tackled her to the fucking ground. Head in the pavement. I'm sorry, Katie. I'm really sorry about it still. Catherine McKenna, I know that you had a headache the next day and we couldn't isolate it. If it was from your hangover or the concussion that I gave you, and I apologize. And it was the nicest bar in Chelan, so who knows if we'll be invited back, but whatever. We were having a great time.
Like a bear butt?
No, we were in public, and they were just like, I can't do a butt motorboat. Yeah, through she has these white shorts that have embroidery in the. I love that I know those pair of shorts so well. They have a white a lace trim. She knows. Katie knows. Knows. I went to do that, but apparently I thought I was going to do it in air, and I basically, I have no fucking clue. But in my memory, I tried to pick her up, which equated to "you're not that strong," and it toppled. I made a plate of dishes, just whoosh. And then the guy came over and he was like, "You out." And I was like, God, you're not fun, so it's fine. So we leave and we take all these dudes with us and we go to another bar and then another bar. And while we were there, my Friday night nipple lover, he came out because we had texted him. So Nipples came out and he took me back to his place. Now I get motion sick. I've already covered this. And so if I'm drinking, I'm a time bomb, basically. I'm shaking up a baby and then playing hot potato at a party. When's it going to happen?
Holding it while playing, what's the game where you have to touch the dots?
Twister.
Twister? Yeah. No, it's it's intense. It's high pressure. It's going to happen. And it's like that. There was the game. I don't know if you guys are old enough for this. But you have to put the pieces together.
Oh, the timer.
And the timer's going.
Yeah,
and
I love that
they all
one.
pop out of place. Yeah, me. Yeah, it's never.
But each one
You
is
don't
a
win
drink,
this
and
game.
that
You don't
is your
win
tummy.
this. Yeah. No. So here we are, our fourth bar. We've been kicked out of one. Oops. And he shows up, and he's just the greatest guy. He's just so sweet. And he takes me back to his place. And on the way, don't worry, I gotta throw up. Don't worry, the cops pull up behind us. Oops, not my fault. So he talks to him, and we get out of it. And we go back to his place the next day. I meet his child, which is what you want to do with a 2-night stand. You just gotta
Meet the kid.
invite him. You just meet your child. And then, so the child hangs out with us and me and these are our 4 friends. And then best thing ever, she goes home and tells her, her mom, the ex-wife, that dad has 5 girlfriends. You know, that worked out. Great. Didn't even have to coach her on that. So the lesson is when the best laid plans of mice and men often go astray. Because I felt like, oh, I'm about to date this person. I'll just have this one night stand. I'll get that out of the way. It'll be, and then, I'll have a few days of free agency and then date this other person. Nope, first guy's gone. I'm now dating the guy from Chelan. And his daughter says she loves me.
Oh, you're currently
I'm
dating him.
still dating him.
Nipple.
So when people talk about like souvenirs, I was like, yeah, he's great.
So what
This
happened
is
to
wonderful.
gay dude? Did you call and be like, yeah, so computer says you're gay?
I didn't ever. So we had talked about it. I was like, you do these things that I'm uncomfortable with. One time he called me his beard, and I was like,
and that's why you think he's gay because he called you
told
his
you.
beard. He gay.
So yeah, so like I was like, oh, that's like a joke, and here we are at brunch, and there was a very like sizable group of gay men, like obviously gay men next to us, and I was like, they know, they can tell, they're looking at me, and I'm like, it doesn't matter. I mean, I could date a gay man, he's lovely, but it's like it's just gonna end, and I'm ultimately not what he wants. But there were just these like weird things, and it wasn't one thing. And I just thought, like, still, he kept saying enough that he was like, no, I just, I've never been attracted to a guy, and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't know how to tell him he was gay. But then I go on this vacation, at my bachelorette weekend, I ended up, and we're still dating, yeah.
Sweet.
So there's that.
Yeah. You never know when you're gonna find love.
You just never fucking know with
Never fucking
dating.
know.
So there's that story. Give me another number.
Next roll.
Number time.
1 on the list.
Another number 1. Thank God. Halloween Plan B.
Oh.
Here we go. All right. So I was a theater major in college, which means that I took a year of sewing classes, and I'm a fucking fantastic person to make a Halloween costume.
Yes.
So for $5, I bought a silver shower curtain from the Fred Meyer, and I made a like cubic shaped pound size, like life size pound bag of Starbucks coffee. And I took the Starbucks logo and I traced it out on a giant like green and white poster board, and I printed out the actual price tag, the UPC code, and like whole bean coffee and all the things. So it was a life size pound bag of coffee. Great. I go out for Halloween with one of my friends she went as a gumball, and it was adorable. So we were like these great personification of items, and I was very warm. I was like wearing like a sweater and jeans, having a great time, and people were like getting their picture with me everywhere I went.
Because there was a face hole.
Just a face hole. Just a face hole. A few years prior to that, I was a Lego, and I just like, it was my head outside of this long box. I was 4, whatever that is, and a 4 brick or an 8 brick, and I intentionally didn't put armholes in it because it's hilarious to have to cope through an entire night.
Yeah.
So when I was a Starbucks thing and I was around Seattle, I would have to sit back, put my arm out of the face hole, bring a drink inside,
Wonderful.
drink it, and then put it back. Okay, great. So I'm doing all this. So you have your like shitty drunk night, and I think I pre-gamed it. And at one point, my friend was like, "Oh, let's go to like this guy's house." I was dating that guy. I just don't want to say his name because he's the worst person ever. So like, let's go to that guy's house.
You can. We have a short list of names. You can call him Burl.
Burl. Okay.
Burl.
Let's go
There's
to.
one name on the list.
Let's go to. It can still be a list. Let's go to Burl's. Let's go to Burl's apartment. Like, we're so close to there. Let's go to Burl's. Okay, 2 things. Don't eat spaghetti on a night that you might vomit.
God.
Because a noodle can't come out of your nose.
Oh,
Wow.
And secondly, construction sites, that orange netting is not load bearing. Okay? It looks like it
Does
should
not bear
be
loads.
because it's fucking guarding. They're like, all right, it's this netting or a 50-foot drop. We don't know. And so I got out of a taxi. There was an actual taxi. This was not an Uber. And I get motion sick, and I'd been drinking. So I tried to hold on to it and throw up out of the mouth hole of my Starbucks system.
I want a picture
My
of
face.
that.
do you though?
Yes.
So it's not load bearing, and also I threw up on my sweater instead.
Oh,
my sweater, and my pants. Just like right like inside. Like I mean, it was so close, the face hole, and like puking outside of it, and it was plastic. You could have just like washed it off with like a power wash. No, don't worry. Straight just down everything in
Down.
the front.
Well, at least, hey, nobody can see it.
Yeah, it's hidden on the inside. This is
Like
important
all
to
of
the
my
end of the story.
problems.
Yes.
Yeah. Alcohol for the inside boo-boos. Yeah, they're hidden. Okay, so we get up to the apartment. I'm trying to throw up spaghetti, which, as I've already mentioned, it doesn't work.
Nice.
Like noodles, they don't. It's salad, same thing. Lettuce, no. Game over. Just don't eat. Just puke. That's fine.
Okay.
So in the morning, that night while we were at Burl's apartment and I was dating him, we engaged in some activities that I felt like I needed to have a plan B for because I didn't want to baby Burl. So I drove myself. I was stone cold sober because I'd puked up everything in my Starbucks costume because I was horrified at the murder scene of spaghetti sauce down the front of my fucking sweater and jeans. So we went to Walgreens. I did. Nobody went with me. I went to Walgreens. And I was like, I'm going to need to get some Plan Bizzle. So I walked to the back, and the Plan B is right next to the Claritin D because those are on the same scale.
Got it.
Same people, same audience.
Yeah.
If you need Claritin, basically it's like, oh wait, we just made it more convenient. Like if you're doing one of these, it's like putting ping pong balls near the beer. They're like, if you like this, you might like the other. No.
If you wanna be able to breathe through your nose at the opportune moment, try Claritin. Also try Plan B.
Yeah, because like we're gonna clear your allergies up so well, we're gonna get you laid. That's what it's saying.
Yeah.
So I'm getting Plan B, and I think it was my first time ever. Actually, no, it was my second, because the first time was the first time that I hooked up with this guy that I was dating. Whatever, Burl, fuck him. So I am in my Halloween costume because I've got a murder scene down the front of my sweater and pants. And it's paperwork. It's worse than registering to vote or trying to get a passport. I swear to God, they're like optical scan, last menstrual period, whatever. So I'm getting this, and it was taking so long that it was an awkward silence. And I was like, don't worry, I'll fill the space. And she's looking down at this paperwork, and I just said, just so you know, I had a really good night.
Dress as a pack of coffee.
It's November 1st. It's the day after fucking Halloween. She's probably seen it all. I don't know how long she'd been working. She did not make eye contact. She just, her eyes opened wide as she looked at the paperwork. And the lesson is, 1, okay, I didn't have a baby, so safe sex, kids. And 2, it's a fucking transaction, Whitney. You're not going to bro out and drink with her later. You don't need to be a people pleaser. You need to just let it be awkward and fuck off. And also, she's probably seen some shit.
Yeah.
Just like whatever. Don't say anything. Tip her, maybe. Is there a tip jar? And then just fuck off. So that is the lesson. Also, pack a change of clothes because murder scene down the front and then also giant. I was like bigger than a person. Starbucks bag of coffee. Just my face. I had to pull up the plastic to sign the fucking paperwork and pay and get my debit card out.
You didn't pass it through the face hole.
Oh my God. Opportunity missed.
2 years ago, I dressed as actually borrowed this costume from Dennis, but it was a very authentic ninja outfit. Mm-hmm. It was like very basic costume. You didn't put any thought or effort into this, but it was like really authentic ninja stuff. Drank all night, whatever. I'm in the Uber coming home. I don't know how I got in there. I was pitch black, so him finding me was very challenging. But I got in there, and I'm on First Avenue down here, and I'm almost home. And I'm like, sir, you're going to have to pull... and throw out the side door of the Uber.
Oh my God.
And then the light turns green, and he pulls around the corner. I'm like, you can just drop me on the side of the road. And then I'm walking down the side of the road in a pitch black outfit full of vomit.
Yes.
Yeah, and I get home. I don't get hit by a car. And I woke up to a scene the next morning of just basically a black carpet from the door to the bathroom to my room as I'm taking stuff off. And there's like ropes and robe things and shoes and socks. It's great.
all covered in
I really hope that you had a moment of like forgetting that you were the ninja, dressed up the night before, and you're like, what
Oh my
happened?
god, a ninja came in here and took off all his clothes.
Oh my god. I really, God, no.
He's in the corner on the wall.
Yeah.
Naked.
He's like
just hanging.
suspending. Yeah. Great.
Dangling
Well, when I
over.
retell your story, that's how it went. Mm-hmm. Love it. Yeah. Halloween's tough. Basically, it's worth it to just not go out and just get up really early on November 1st and just look at the walks of shame.
Oh.
It's got to just be like lawn chair on First Avenue. Like, all right, everybody, you got your cold brew. Let's get fucked up. It's going to be so good.
I got my laptop out and running my Etsy store. I'm hooked up illegally to my neighbor's Wi-Fi because mine doesn't reach to the street. Click, click, clack, clack.
And like, Caffeinated Me really overpriced those cards. I don't know. She's got a lot of self-worth. She thinks a lot of herself. Weird. You ready to roll the die?
6? Did we already do 6?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, finally, Brazil.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, so in my time working on cruise ships, I did find my way to Brazil on a ship, not independently. And I had been working a lot, and as a crew member, you can sign up for tours. And I thought I was signing up for a cultural dance show, but I had missed the deadline. So they were like, "Oh, don't worry, like, or we'll get you in." But they didn't say what they would get me in for. And at one point they were like, all right, like my tickets arrive in my mailbox and I should be on the dock at 11 p.m. Like, that's a weird time to go to a dance show. I feel like this, I thought it was like a morning or a midday thing. Like it was kind of like in the middle of a festival. No. I show up and like the tour it was named something weird on my ticket. I get there and people were like, "Hey, so are you excited?" Like, what? Yeah, for the dance show? Like, and they were like, No, if we're going alligator hunting."
What?
And I was like, "What? No, I swear, like I didn't sign up for that. Like I was like 2 days after that deadline and they said I was going to a dance show and they were like, well, they must have pulled some strings and now you're going alligator hunting." And I was like, as a vegetarian, this is weird. But it was like caiman, these like small to large things. Okay, so they, eventually they get big. So I get on the boat. We get on a boat and we drink caipirinha, which is like Satan, in a liquid, and like a clear liquid, like a moonshine.
Oh, God.
Satan cousin of it. Great. So we're like doing that, and I'm like, oh yeah. And of course, we haven't had liquor in a while. Cool.
Because this is the beer and wine boat?
Because we were still on the hard A ban, still prohibition. So we're doing that on this like tugboat that probably met no standard ever. So it gets to this destination. And then now we get on these like little motorized like long wood boats in the Amazon. Now when I say the Amazon, I mean the fucking Amazon. So we're on the river and we're just motoring out to the middle of nowhere and we're running up into these like brush patches and we're spotlighting these like tiny caiman. And I'm like, wow, okay. So now I'm
Why?
drunk, and now I think it's hilarious. I still remember doing this because there's piranha, and I was like putting my finger in, and I was like, ah! I'm like cheating death. Drunk me is like just living on the edge, danger zone. So they like pick up these like alligators, great, and or whatever caiman is, and they pass them back. No, this is not the United States. This is not SeaWorld. They're like, hey, this thing can kill you, but there's like trained people, and it's in the front, and no, we're passing it through the goddamn audience. Here it comes. And I'm like, I don't know.
Like show and tell?
Yeah, it was like show and tell, but instead of being like a toad, they're just like, this thing can kill you. So they're passing it back and I don't want to hold it, and then it like keeps going and whatever. Okay, so we do this for a couple hours. Now it's pitch black. We've got spotlights and we're hunting these things in the Amazon. And I'm like, what did I do to deserve this? Just wanted to like have a great time and travel, and here I am. But I still put my finger in the water again. Great. So we're on our way back to, there's something else that we're going to do. And it's like someone's playing with my hair behind me. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Look, I'm a blonde. And I have this like big curly hair, and people haven't seen it, and several countries around the world are like fascinated by it. So, okay, this is happening. So it keeps happening, but it's like randomly, and it's like not gentle. It's like, if you're going to scratch my head, please do it. No, it's not happening. And I'm just like, God, this fucking asshole behind me. We get back to the dock. I turn around. It's a fucking alligator. Somebody picked up a really big one, and the tail had been whipping me in the back of the head. Okay, then they get in trouble because they brought one back, and not only that, but it was fucking huge. So it was like someone's forearm hitting me every now and then. And I'm like, all right, well, worst part of the night's over. I'm not going to be eaten by like some caiman. Then someone's like, God, you know what? And there were 12 of us. I just feel like, Brazil's really fun. I don't even remember what port we're in. We should go out. We should really go out. So now it's after midnight.
In Brazil.
In Brazil, no one speaks Portuguese. Absolutely none of us. And we've got like the most random mix. I think I'm the only American. We have a guy from London. He's not defending anybody. The Italian guy, he's like, let's vote on it. No, then the Italian guy, nothing. That's the one I ended up dating and getting caught in that storage closet with. Oops. So, we've got it's just a stone cold pack of weirdos.
And are these all employees of the cruise ship?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
They're not a guest. Everybody's just like, hey, you hate your family too, let's travel. So we get on a shuttle and we don't know where it's going, and then like somebody is like, oh, I heard this name of this place was really good for travelers, like people traveling. So we pull up and it looks weird and there's no label on it, and we go in and it was like very like dirt floor and just trash everywhere. There was a bar, there was dancing, the music's too loud, and then as like we got beverages and I'm looking around and I was like, wow, this is a lot of guys. Like there's just not like a lot of like guys that come out to this club. And then I noticed like the only women were me and the girls I was with. I was like, I don't know, like this is a weird club. And then a guy came over and pulled up my shirt and just like looked at my tits. He wasn't even impressed. It was like medicinal. It was like he was a gynecologist. He was just like checking and leaving. And then we found out, yeah, it's a brothel.
Oh, no.
It's not a club. We were in a brothel. So when someone heard that it was good for travelers,
Yeah, because
for men like traveling on business who wanted companionship. And then I am in there like the belle of the ball. Just like
hey,
having a great time. There's like Bowie playing, like a techno, like EDM. I'm just like having a great time. And then I was just like, why is all this like free caipirinha around? Like, this is like, Brazil is so nice. No, you need to get out of there. So the lesson is, you need to research places, get a fucking tour guide. And if someone says after midnight, oh, there's this one place open that's good for like traveling businessmen. No, go home.
No.
Go the fuck to sleep. And that is Brazil. Also, don't take caiman from the wild, please.
yeah, just leave them.
Yeah.
They're little buddies.
Yeah, they live there for a
It's
reason.
It's nice that you've been on the Amazon River.
It was
Sweet.
awesome.
Yeah.
It was sweet.
And now it's on fire. Yeah.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't have thrown that.
Story number 5.
Number 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. My mom starts dating. This is really an early story about email. And it's a short one. And it's a painful lesson. My mom started dating after a very painful divorce, and she was fixed up on a blind date by like her best friend. And so my mom gets an email of a picture that was probably like film taken with a camera, scanned and attached to an email and sent to my mom. So she's going to have a date with this doctor. She sends me the email that I needed to check at the computer lab in college
Oh.
via webmail.
Yeah.
Were very complex. And she's like, so what do you think? So I reply to her and I say, like, he's, he has really kind eyes, but he's not the Joseph Fiennes that I was hoping my mother would find. And Joseph Fiennes plays Shakespeare in Shakespeare in Love.
Yep.
He's kind of a hottie.
pretty.
Like, whatever. Yeah. I mean, my mom's pretty, but she's
Cousin of Ray
older
Fiennes?
than that. Brothers. I think they're
Ray
brothers.
Fiennes, yeah.
So, I send her this and I go back about my day. And then later I get a call from her and she's like, hi, so I got your response. And so did he. You replied all.
Oh man, that lesson. Ugh.
And the lesson, and then he was a champ about it. He sent some pictures back of Joseph Fine and was like, "What are you saying?" But the lesson is, fuck you, reply all. Nobody has ever said in the history of the world, thank God I accidentally replied all. Thank God for that.
Accidentally? No.
Check it every time. Oh my God. It was horrifying. It was horrifying. It still is.
Thankfully, they don't have a "Are you sure you would like to reply all" window
They
option because
should.
it's so
Wow.
common at work. But they do have recall email now, which I have used maybe 7 times.
Well, I do the trick where if I'm sending an email that I don't want to accidentally send before I edit out all of my actual feelings, is I don't fill out the recipient until I'm done with the email.
That
Brilliant.
That way I can't send it accidentally.
Very good.
Brilliant.
Brilliant thing to do, and it's also like a standard practice. Also, waiting.
Oh, cool, thanks.
Waiting.
Way to diminish his accomplishment.
Not
But I get
typing.
your
I know,
support.
I'm
It's
sorry. I'm very
palpable.
diminishing today. Also, like I have 3 or 4 drafts right now that I'm just gonna sit on for over the weekend, and then maybe when Monday comes around, I'll probably
Delete
not.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be surprised how many times people don't. They're like, oh, first things first.
Name.
To my CEO.
Yes.
And I'm like, no, no,
Straight. We're taking this to the top.
Yeah.
Okay.
Take me
yeah.
to the top.
All right. Have we done number 4 on this list?
We have done number 4. So our options left are 2.
2. I just rolled a 2.
Oh, great.
Yep.
So gun violence is very near and dear to my heart because I was on campus for the shooting in 2007 at Virginia Tech.
Ooh.
And then I got involved with being on the board of a nonprofit, Washington Ceasefire. And they flew me and a few of our members to a symposium in DC that we were running. And it was a bunch of really people that had, like, really not high powered, but people that had great experience working with guns, like a former drug czar and a gun manufacturer. Like people from kind of the all pieces that you don't traditionally hear from during gun violence. You hear from victims and you hear from the NRA. And you sometimes hear from like Congress people, whatever. So it was like a really interesting, like bringing people together to just talk about it because, you know, gun violence prevention is very much like if people just hear kind of like the common sense things happening around it, they'll come to their own conclusions. And it's that they don't want to die and they don't want their family and friends or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So, I mean, it's like super just it's like unemotional, just logic and research and these people with experience. So I had not been back. I'm from Virginia, and we were flying to D.C., and I hadn't been back in a couple years. So while I was there, I saw my best
some
friend.
Boxed wine.
I got.
Kidding.
I probably got some boxed wine. And the other thing is that going to these gun violence events or all these rallies and all these memorials is really intense. And I'm still not like numb to it. And I can't be. Mm-hmm. You can't be in a place where you've compartmentalized like people dying to a place where you're like, okay, great, you know, shake it off. This happened. I can go to a parade and I'm great. No, it's like still kind of like re-traumatizing every time.
Yeah.
So I show up to this symposium and I see my best friend for the first time in like 2 years because I've moved to Washington. Mm-hmm. So I'm in DC and we go out and we get a little hammered. There may have been boxed wine, who can tell? And I thought my invitation to the symposium and doing all the pictures and the social media said to like arrive at 8. And I was like, okay, so I can like get enough sleep and be not a piece of shit by 8 o'clock. Got it.
A.M.
8 a.m. Yes. Jeez. Wow. Yes. No. Yeah. 8 a.m. I was like, I can do this. Mind you, I've traveled from the West Coast. There's like a lot of factors happening and I hadn't been sleeping enough. So I get up or like before I go to sleep, I read the invitation and I was like, yeah, 8 o'clock, right? And that's what I thought I saw. No. There was a sit-down breakfast that started around 7:15. So I get up in the morning and I'm looking at the address and I noticed this and I was like, fuck me. Just like brush the wine out of your mouth and get there.
Yeah.
So I'm looking like a dumpster fire and I like walk down there and it's literally like a really nice breakfast. And so I like roll in. I probably smell like last night because I didn't have time to shower. And I am just trying to like mainline a bunch of coffee and like a croissant or something. So I'm like I like steal a seat and there are all these journalists and like important people, but I didn't know who they were. And I didn't know if there was a guest list that I could look at, but I was just like, I'm just a piece of shit. I'm going to stay in the corner and not talk to anybody. So there was this like really nice guy kind of at the end of the table that I was chatting with, and he had an accent. So it comes out that he's from Brazil. Cool. Mm-hmm. And I was, hungover, drunk as self, and I was just like, man, I love the book The Alchemist. So Paulo Coelho, the author, is he cool or is he a douchebag? You can tell me. So I'm like super real. Like I'm like no etiquette, no like Emily Post would be rolling over on her grave.
Yeah.
So I'm like Emily Roast. I'm terrible. So we're chatting and he's like, oh no, he's really nice. Like we used to like be in contact. We were friends. And I was like, oh, sweet. You were okay. So didn't ask anything about that. So we're like chatting and we're just bullshitting about these things and he's super fun. And then Marilyn comes over who's on the board and she's like, oh, good. You met Pedro, the diplomat to Brazil. Great. And I was like,
Oh, God.
you know what, Marilyn? Name tags. I feel like I've said this before, that name tags would be cool at fucking events. And I didn't say any of that, but she just said, oh, good, you met Pedro, the diplomat to Brazil. And then I like died on the inside. And then she said, cherry on top, yeah, he's the guy responsible for bringing Amazon to Brazil. And then me, being the piece of shit I am, I said, wait, I thought the Amazon was already in Brazil. He loved it. He just said, that was good. So the event goes on and I'm with all these important people that I shouldn't be around. But the lesson of the story is don't get hammered before important events or during them. Mm-hmm. And make sure that you read the fucking goddamn piece of shit invitation. And if something is a sit-down breakfast, then you should probably look at the guest list. And not that I needed to look plan to not piss off a diplomat or be a piece of shit. It's just, it's just good to put a pin in it. Just remember that one.
Let's put a pin in that.
Yeah, let's put a pin in that. So that's the gun violence symposium that I went to, and I made an ass out of myself in front of the diplomat to Brazil. There's that.
Oh, I'm having so much fun.
I'm so glad. Okay, I have 2 more.
Okay. Well, what numbers are they?
Well, I think I'll just do them.
You'll just do them, yeah.
I'll do both of them.
Okay.
As I've been known to. So we've all had that roommate from hell. And my story starts in 2017. I was at a happy hour, and I was working from a bar because I just needed to not be at work. Mm-hmm. And there was another woman working on a laptop. Dallas is yawning, just saying.
I haven't eaten enough today.
Oh, wow.
Does that make you yawn?
I thought you yawned when you were hungry.
No.
Next podcast topic.
Moving on.
So I'm at this happy hour and this girl's there. So we started chatting because I was like, "What are you working on?" Because I'm also someone that works when they get hammered, and amazingly, my work improves. I don't know. It's weird. So we chatted, we struck up a friendship, and then a few months later, probably 4 months later, we were doing some yoga event together, and she's like, well, do you want to live together? Because I wanted to move out of Des Moines. Mm-hmm. And then, we looked for places and looked all around, and then we found a place in West Seattle, and everything was super great. And she'd kind of in the background talked about this shitty guy that she dated who wasn't very nice, and he was a homeless alcoholic meth addict.
Oh, she knew how to pick them, obviously.
Dabbling. So, yeah, she knew how to pick them, and she was in master's. She was in a master's program. She's becoming a therapist, specializing in addiction. So, very much in line with her work.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
He sounds like a nice project.
Yeah. She's just getting out there, fixing them up type.
Yeah. It's just like buying a house with a septic issue or something. You're just you know what? Yeah, I'm going to take this on.
Yeah, it looks good on the listing, but I went and saw it and it had already burned down. But I think it's a good deal. It's a good fixer-upper.
The lolocation.
Septic issue is the only reason I live in this apartment.
Yeah,
Because
that's
the
a
other
fun
one
story.
flooded with shit.
Oh, God.
3 times.
In
What do you say
15
the third
days.
time? What do you say the third time? Like, what do you even...
I
You
don't
say,
wanna go into
"Give
it
me
right
a
now.
new
It's a long
goddamn
story.
apartment."
Yeah, this is how.
And they say, "Yes, sir."
That's pretty much.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's really bad.
So she was dating that septic issue, okay? And... But not while we had, like, signed a lease and we were going to move in together. I think that they had, like, reconnected, but they, like, weren't dating. And then he was still homeless in the area. And I swear to God, as soon as I signed that lease, he just started being
There all the time.
more present. And they really weren't great together. And they fought a lot, and he was uncomfortable. And it definitely, you know, like, escalated. And then he was, you know that scene in, oh my God, what is that? The Sixth Sense? Mm-hmm. Where the mom leaves the kitchen and then he
All the
comes
cabinets
back.
are open.
Fuck.
It was like living with that ghost. And he wasn't there all the time. He was just there, like, usually like a Friday evening when you would want to chill out. And I had a really stressful job at the time. And I wasn't dating anyone, and their relationship bullshit, like, just overflowed. And I'm like, wow, I'm single, so I shouldn't have to be embroiled in this very toxic relationship. So, like, it got worse, and, like, little things would get broken around the house because he was just kind of like a bowl in a china shop kind of person. And don't just hear me out, I have a giant tub of Vaseline to take my makeup off.
Okay.
Sorry.
Just like a bulk thing. It's not like a 5-gallon.
It's like a pump top.
I wish, because this wouldn't have happened. I used it to take my makeup off, and there was like a hand swipe out of it.
Oh.
Like an aggressive hand swipe. And I was like, hey, could you talk to him about, I don't think I did this. Also, like, I don't have man hands. So, like, it's
Right.
I don't know, blah. How big is my face? And I'm going to have, like, a swath of bullshit, just blah. Okay, so that happened. And then the next week, it just, like, disappeared. And it ended up on her, like, on her nightstand.
No.
She was like, I thought he got it. And I'm thinking, like, when has he ever bought anything for the place? Just drugs for himself. Okay.
All right.
But you, like, can't, but you could never talk to her and be like, hey, he might still be on meth. He was, like, living out of, like, in a halfway house. Then he got kicked out of it.
Yep.
Then he started working with, like, the homeless population. Then he relapsed. I mean, it was, like, everything that you've, like, read or seen on TV. And no criticism to people that are dealing with the opioid epidemic. I just don't want it in my apartment.
Right.
Right.
That's it.
Yep.
And then to
Not
have,
in
like,
my literal apartment, please.
yeah. Not in my backyard that I don't have it, meaning the 2 feet from my bedroom. So, you know, we're in this apartment that doesn't have locks, and, like, they would fight sometimes, and I'd have to be like, hey, are you okay? Like, I don't know what to talk. And she was a therapist, so she had, like, a lot of pride around being like, I can have toxic relationships, but you can't talk about it. So she wanted to hang out with me and my friends, and then she was like, she would, like, ruin my birthday, and, like, they always got into fights and left early. It's whatever. It's every roommate you've ever had.
She ruined your birthday?
So first she was talking about, it was a surprise birthday, and she was talking about it on the street. My window was open, so she blew the surprise.
Oh.
And then they drove me, and they didn't participate in the theme, which is really funny. It was D-Day, B-Day. I had, like, given up dating for 6 months, and everybody had to dress like a dick. So it was like an eggplant, dick
imagined-
hamburger.
Like really colorful army outfits when you said D-Day.
D-Day, B-Day. Wow. You know what? That definitely. Wow. Sorry. And I don't want to re-trauma. PTSD, trigger warning. Don't want to hurt anyone who did participate in the events at Normandy. I hear you. But no, it was Dick Day. It was like, because I had like given up dating. Okay, cool. So this is my return to dating. Killed it, just so you know. So so they got into a car fight on the way there. Then they argued about parking. Then we get there, and then they were like super antisocial in the corner. And then when we switched locations and we were in the car again, they fought again. Then they ended up like leaving early. It was like a whole like
Disaster.
Yes, and they're like really antisocial, and things escalate. And then there was another time they invited them out, and they also got into a fight. They got into a fight in the Uber. No, really good.
They farted in the Uber.
Fight. I don't even know where that was going. A fight in the Uber. No, Lyft. Nothing. Nothing
Car?
rhymes.
Or you say fight in the car?
A fight in the car. There we go.
Yeah.
Yes, a fight in the car, but it was a Lyft. So it was just like constantly bullshit to be around. Then it's like very Sixth Sense, like why is all this shit open? And then, you know, why is my Vaseline missing? Whatever. So eventually, like, they break up, then they're together, then they break up, then they're together, then they break up, then they're together, then they break up. And then she's like, hey, she texts me, I would like to change up my space. Do you think a month is enough for you to figure out a place to live? So initially I was like, well, you suck, because we live together, you could tell me. But
Also, was it a year-long lease?
it was.
And so she's asking you to break the lease.
No. So now, no, we've survived over a year. So now we're in January.
Okay.
And she is saying it would be like, would March 1 be enough time? So she's saying she's giving me like a full month. And I'm like, wow, yeah. I text something very political back.
Mm-hmm. Fuck you! No.
Yeah, the emoji, it was just a middle finger. No. It was like super political, logical, like,
Formal.
I can formal. I was like I was resigning from a job.
That
with,
you've
like, a
worked at
psychopath.
for 10 years.
Exactly. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'd like to thank you for such a long time to learn from you and all the skills like calling 911 that I've developed in this time. And it is
being
with
afraid to call 911.
it's with my deepest gratitude. Go fuck yourself. So I had never called 911
with my Vaseline.
Yeah, with my Vaseline. The best part about the Vaseline is that I bought name brand Vaseline to remove my makeup, and when she replaced it, she did it with some off brand. That is like a different consistency.
Yeah, cheap.
I mean, none of the men have complained, but I'm just saying that I know the difference for my face. Okay, so fast forward. We're about to move, and her ex-boyfriend that she doesn't have boundaries with, he comes over. He's like, I just want to walk the dog. No. He wants to get into a fight with her, and he wants to argue, and he's, like, threatening to break in if she asks him to leave, and, like, why aren't you telling me where you're moving? Our neighbor has to break up the fight. He destroys a piece of furniture. Don't worry, it's mine. And then, yeah. And then she just texts, and I wasn't there, I was house sitting, and she texts me super casually about it, like, hey, so, like, Chris came over, and it was fine. He broke your globe, sorry. And she's, like, so minimized it. Like, she doesn't acknowledge that he's high on meth. And he feels out of control because she's about to move and he can't stalk her anymore, and he's been stalking her. Mm-hmm. So the next day, I'm at the gym on the same street, and he texts me directly. And he's like, hey, sorry I broke your globe. JK, I'm filing charges against her for this. And I'm like, God, you're still high. So I call the police because it's always the fucking roommate. It's always the bystander who has spoken out against the shitty relationship.
Right.
And I just don't want him to be like, oh, she's the reason that we're not together. Couldn't be anything that I'm doing. It's Whitney. And there was a time when she was like, I'm really done with this relationship. And I said, he's the reason why you've lost this, or this, and why I can't include you in things with my friends, and you're not you just like, you feel like you're in a safe place, and you say the things, and then you immediately regret it. So I have to call the police, and it gets awesome. I go to my friend's house, and I say, guys, I was really excited about brunch, but I have to call 911, and doesn't everyone know that you don't fuck with brunch?
Right.
I'm fucking pissed about this.
Never fuck with brunch.
So I go to my friend's room, and I do it. I call the domestic abuse, the domestic violence line. It's an answering machine, which, America, wow.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Wow. Thanks.
Real thanks, because it was kind of an emergency. And then I hadn't heard from her, so we're into like the wellness check area.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That she's not answering her phone or her texts. So I'm on the phone. So I called the general line to be like, I'd like to report an incident of domestic violence. I'm afraid. And I, as the roommate, and she won't report, and here's the situation. And it was like super logical about it. And then the 911 dispatcher says, are there any weapons in the home? And then I was like, long pause. Well, in my room, I have a bow and arrow and an axe.
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
It was the longest pause of my entire life. I swear to God, I could have told someone I was pregnant, and the pause wouldn't have been that long. It was the most intense silence on the phone that I have ever experienced.
Oh my God.
And I didn't say to him, like, look, it's not weird. I do archery. I'm an amateur archer, and it's fine. And then I rescued a fire axe off of
from a
I
lovely
I used to work on ships. And
fostering organization. I'm a foster failure.
they were retiring an Alaskan ferry, and I rescued an axe. No, I got no chance to defend myself, and it was just, are there any weapons in the home? I have a bow and arrow and an axe. And my friend who was in the room with me, she was like, she couldn't look at me because we were both about to die. I was like, this is a terrible situation, and my adrenaline is pumping, and I was just like, but I could still crack up fucking laughing right now. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. So eventually, everything's filed, and I have to meet with the police in person, and I'm waiting at a coffee shop on my street. Like, I probably didn't even need a cold brew, but I was just like shaking already, and I was like, let's just put another log on the fire. And they're like, so what brings you in today? Like, swear to God, they regret asking that
An
thing
axe and a bow and arrow.
Yeah,
Give
an
me a
axe.
cold brew.
I was like, I just gotta file a police report, And then the time before that, I shit you not, I was in there like, what are you working on? And I was like, I'm writing an obituary. Stop fucking asking questions, guys. I swear to God.
Where was this? This was the...
It was the poor people, Olympia Coffee on California Avenue. I love that place. They have a delicious Americano. But I was definitely like, I just go there for all my catastrophic things.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting for the police. I do the in-person thing. I turned in an amazing performance on that body cam. And then eventually... nobody was arrested, but she did have to file another report against him eventually, and we're not friends, and she sucks. But the bow and arrow axe moment was worth it. And then the big lesson is, like, one, just, like, don't be afraid to call 911. Because if you have the feel, like, if you have the inkling to do it, you should do it.
Yep.
And secondly, when I moved my axe into my new apartment that I was forced to move into from her, it was the last thing in my car, and I realized that there's no good way to move an axe. So I had it, and there was a person walking up the hill, and it was nighttime. I just felt really bad for him, but so I tried out all these tactics. I was like, look, if I just if I hide it, no, he can still see it. If I hold it behind me, no. If I hold it like I'm gonna use it, no. If I walk quickly, never. If I slowly walk, worse. If I make eye contact, never. You can't address him, no. I mean, there was just no good way to there's no good way to move an axe. Just so you know, and you can't wrap it up. No, there's no way to conceal an axe. And that guy gave me the same fucking face that the woman did when I was trying to buy Plan B in my Starbucks Halloween coffee. And when I was like, I'm gonna break the tension with a comment. And I was like, hi, have a good evening. No. I could have told him that I was gonna fucking kill his mom, and he would have been like, wow, what a relief. That's what I was expecting. But I was like, have a good night. No. You can't break the tension. There are some situations you have to leave the tension. It's there for a reason, and just fucking move on.
It's like from the first story you told. Good luck.
Oh my God. It was like that. Okay, so there's
have
that
10 seconds.
story. There's that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have an axe in your room and it's fine. Yeah. How much time do we have?
As much as you need.
Okay, I have two more. I have the one that I intended and the one that I was just reminded of.
Okay.
Fuck yes.
Well, we've all had a pet fish, right?
I have one right now.
You have a
What's
pet
his?
fish?
What's your? Is it
Where
a girl
is it?
or a boy?
It is a boy, beta fish named Labo after the old inside sales manager who left. And now I have his job.
Did you kill him? Why do you name a
No.
fish after him?
No, we have this thing where if you leave customer care or you're a manager or above and you leave, somebody has to get a beta fish and name it after you. It's the rules.
Is this at work? You
yes.
have it at work. Okay, I was like,
And
I've never
so-
seen this fish.
When
my gosh.
when I left customer care, my old roommate, she got a beta fish and named it Dallas. My last name is Gilsmore.
Oh, genius.
And so that was nice. He died. It got replaced with a bunch of guppies, and it was Gills and the gang. But yeah, so I have a pet fish named after the dude who had the job before me.
That's amazing.
You don't have you have a
Do
snake.
you have a fish?
I have a snake.
You have a snake. What's the snake's name again?
Snaky snake.
Wait, are you being serious?
Yes.
It's like
Genius.
Dennis had cats. Girl cat, Mr. Kitty. I like girl cat because it's not Mrs. Kitty.
Yes.
Girl cat.
I like that because it doesn't define her based on her relationship status.
Correct.
Amen.
Sweet. I like that.
She ran away anyway. So.
Oh, God.
I'm done talking.
No, I love
Eating
this.
food.
2 quick stories.
You got it.
I had a beta fish. I moved to North Carolina and I hated it. And don't worry, when I was hammered at that Wyoming writing event, I got this job. Because I made fun of, also drunk, I made fun of this creative director who was a photographer, but I just thought he was a photographer, but he looked a little older. And I told him, I was like, hey man, if you need any help working a digital camera, I'm here for you. And then when he was working, I would yell across the room. I'd be like, take the lens cap off. It's the big button. Like, I was really insulting. But so I got a job. And thus began my career in marketing. It sucked. It was the worst, probably, decision of my life. I would rather risk unprotected sex for 30 days in a row than ever take a job there again.
Oh my God.
So sorry to say that. So I moved to North Carolina. I hate it. I buy a beta fish. Beacon of Hope. Love him. I name him Cam Chancellor after my favorite football player. I'm currently wearing a jersey, but not Cam's. Let's not point that out. So I have this beta fish for a long time, and he frequently gets diseases. Weird. And I have like been on like so many beta forums and gone to PetSmart. I've called PetSmart. They don't give a shit.
No.
Their answer is, oh, is he breathing okay? And I'm like, no. And they're like, so like buy another fish?
Come
They're
to
like,
our store and
they're just
buy
like,
more
ma'am,
fish.
sorry, aisle 2. Can't help you. They're in the like little urine sample containers on the end cap. Just like come in, buy, like swing by and get a few because, it might not pan out. Roll the dice. So no, I invested a lot in like his like water test chemicals and his medicine. And I'm reading on this, I'm probably like a fixture on beta forum somewhere. I'm like a low-key celebrity, maybe. Probably not. So I come home late on a Friday, the 13th, don't worry. And
Next week.
Saturday is Valentine's Day, February 14th. So I come home past
love that.
midnight, so it's technically Valentine's Day. And he has a disease. He's like getting bigger. And so I give him some fish medicine. And I tape his Valentine to his... This is disparate times. I tape my Valentine to his fish tank and I put it next to my bed and I wrap it in a blanket and I tell him I love him and I go to bed and when I wake up, he's dead. Now I've hated living in North Carolina. I hate my job and now my beacon of hope is dead. And it's Valentine's Day. So I have a meltdown and I'm crying. And I'm like, well, I've got to get rid of everything because I can't look at all of his things. So I create, because I worked at Boy Scout camp, a funeral pyre in my 2-way fireplace. And I cremate him to the Free Willy soundtrack on repeat. I didn't think it was funny. Like, I just did it because I was like, what would he want?
Yeah.
What would he want? I was just like, what would he want?
Oh my God.
So I have a blazing fire in my fireplace. And I cremated him because I was in such shock from losing him that I had to look up how do you get rid of a fish, even though I've killed probably a school of fish in my childhood. I was like, Cam Chancellor does not get flushed down a toilet. The next one was like, you can bury it. And I was like, I don't have a shovel. And I would want to bury it like a proper, well, I didn't have an axe yet. I was like, I would want to dig a really deep hole, but I can't be a woman crying on Valentine's Day going to a hardware store just buying a shovel. And that was my logic. I was like, I can't.
Can't do it.
And my face was like visibly upset. I was like, there's no fucking way. And I'm not going to use like a spoon. I'm like, I'm not doing this. I had a fish a few years ago that I didn't bury enough and then his like body rose. It was a whole thing. So I'm not doing that. So cremation, Free Willy soundtrack. And then rampage around the house to get everything that reminded me of him to go. So I like round up his fish tank and I clean all the things out, and then I've got all his food and I throw that away, and then there are the water test chemicals and all the medicine that I had to try to keep him alive. And there's like all of them are in these like big bottles, like squeeze bottles, but because it's fish size, it's just like a little, it's like one drop at a time. And I'm like, I can't wait for this. I'm trying to dispose of this responsibly. I'm just going to cut this bottle open. So I squeeze enough out, and then I get my giant scissors out and I go to cut into it. Don't worry. It was pressurized and squirted me right directly into the eye, nose, and mouth. So it tasted bad, but it peeled the first layer of skin out of my mouth. I was bleeding from my nose, and then my eye, I was blurry. I couldn't see out of it.
Was it because of the chemical? Because of the temperature?
It was corrosive. So I'm like one eye looking at this chemical, and you had to like mix it with another one to just test the water. You couldn't put it in the water with the fish. Yeah, it was just to test it, and you would never introduce it into the tank. So I read,
eyeball.
Yeah, thank you. So I read that it's corrosive, and I scream. Well, first I already screamed because it like hurt my mouth. Obviously, I'm bleeding out of my mouth. And I run to the bathroom, and I'm like splashing water in my face. I've got no fucking eye wash. Now, keep in mind, this is the same water that I've been testing because it could not sustain the life of a fish. I've been buying water by the gallon because it would kill my fish. But now don't worry, this is different. I'm sloshing it into my face, basically like gasoline on the fire. It doesn't feel better, and like my face is like weird, and it's still blurry in my eye. So I go to the urgent care on my street. Cool, Valentine's Day. I'm like, oh, I'll get ahead of the game and not go crying to the hardware store buying a shovel. Now I've injured myself with a fish chemical. Great. So I'm waiting in the waiting room, and it takes them a while to get to me, and eventually I have to get a shot of cortisone to get the inflammation to go down, and they had to wash my eye out again. And then they prescribed me ibuprofen, and I was like, good thing about that, it's my only allergy. Hilarious. And then he laughed for way too long. He was like, ha 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 ha, like a serial killer. Well, we wouldn't want to do that. And then the laughter continued. And I was like, okay, great. So I can't do that. And he was like, well, we don't have an alternative. So the woman comes in to give me the shot. So I was like, oh, this is one of those that goes like right in your butt cheek. So I PG-13 butt cheek her. And I really do think her name was Karen. And she was like, oh, we just need the waistband. And I was like, well, we've already gone there. Okay. So I PG and like flash my butt cheek to her, and we get the waist shot and all the things. And so I think I paid like $600
oh my God.
to bury my fish.
America.
Yeah. So there's that. So the real lesson is that anytime that you try to like rush through grief or healing, it's just going to hurt more somehow.
Right.
Like real lesson, roll time.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a big thing.
Yeah,
solid.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, I remembered another story. I'm so sorry. It's the best one.
Train kept
It's the
rolling.
best one.
Oh.
We can always like cut things out,
Yeah,
and then
please.
like save them for like supplemental or like a Patreon.
Okay.
Or whatever.
Great. This is the best one. Can't imagine that I forgot it. I was 23 and I was working on cruise ships, and I was wearing heels, and my toes went numb. And it was my very first contract, and it was just 10 days. And so I get home, and I'd been really tired, and I'd been really into running at the time. And I thought, oh, if I just run, I'll like get out of this tired. And I got motion sickness, so like I was eating Dramamine a lot. Mm-hmm. So like that's got to be it. So I go to the
Dramamine.
I was just like crushing it up, just like
Railing it.
I was eating it. Yeah, I was eating it. And then I went to Normandy Park Athletic right over here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I jogged for an hour, and then I went and picked my mom at the Wendy's, and I was feeling horrible.
Wendy's?
Yeah, the Wendy's on First.
Yeah, and the gym that I go to.
Exactly. So right here. Okay. So I was sitting there, and she ordered me a baked potato, and she got herself a baked potato. She loves the Wendy's baked potato. I don't know what it is.
Something about parents and baked potatoes from Wendy's, man.
You too?
My
Okay,
dad.
great.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Then we'll really commiserate on this.
Then he gets the chili, and then
We're
done. Keep
okay.
going.
Oh, right. So she's like going to town on her baked potato, and I can't eat mine because I feel terrible. Right. So I felt great during my jog. Now I'm not feeling good. I go to the bathroom. I throw up entirely blood.
Oh.
Fresh blood, old blood. It's a toilet full of blood. It's a public toilet full of blood. I go back, and I'm like not with it, and I go back to the thing, and I was just like, Mom, can you come look at the toilet? Because I think I just threw up all blood. But I don't know. I was super out of it.
Yeah.
So she goes. We go into the bathroom. There are two girls looking at it. Out of the woodwork, out of nowhere.
They're just slowly hold hands.
And they just said, somebody threw up blood.
Yeah.
And I was like, it was me. Mom, can you look at this? So she looks at it and she's like, well, that's blood. And then she goes and she sits down and continues eating her goddamn baked potato.
What?
Monster.
So she sits down and I sit down for different reasons. And I was like, well, can we go to the hospital? And she said, well, can I finish my baked potato? So we
Something in that potato.
Did you fire her?
should have put her on notice. So she continues eating the baked potato. And then we get into the car and I have to push in, boop, 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 into the GPS, like where is the nearest hospital? It was very near. And we get there and she's acting like I've done something. Like I did something to make this happen. Like I'm at fault.
Right.
And we're checking in, and then we go into the meeting, like the initial consult, and I like don't have any of the symptoms that they would think that somebody would have. And they basically they're like, well, I mean, cancer. And I'm like, what? I'm sorry.
Everything
what?
is cancer.
Yeah, everything's cancer.
I came to the hospital, not WebMD.
Yeah, exactly. It was the opposite experience. The internet was like, you're fine. Go for another run. But the doctor was like, you're dying. So we go through this whole exam, and it turns out that I've been bleeding internally the whole time that I was on the cruise ship. But because it was a contained environment, my heart rate never went up too high to cause me to bleed faster. But by the time that I've been running for an hour, and then what caused me to throw up, I now have like half of my hematocrit. Like I'm on my way out, and if I had kept running, I would have had hypovolemic shock, which is like an engine without oil. Your
Yeah.
heart can't maintain the pressure in your... Okay, so it was very serious.
Right.
And it was super close. And my mom later, she was like super upset. And I was like, why could you not like put the fucking baked potato down to... Like, I'm your only
Yeah.
child. I'm your only family on the West Coast. Like, what was your experience of this? And she said, well, I knew that we would be at the hospital for a really long time. I didn't get home until after 2 a.m. And I was like, good story, Paula. I didn't go home. I was admitted. And you know what? The emergency room, nobody has like, it's like emergencies don't happen when you're like full, like when you've had enough to eat and drink, and it's like not convenient. Like they've
Everyone
thought
was
of
hungry.
this. They've thought of this. Everyone's fucking hungry.
Yeah.
And then later, like years later, I was like, oh, wait, you know what? Maybe if my mom could stare at a public toilet full of blood from her only child, maybe she really needed that baked potato. Like maybe that was her life or death. Like I need to have this shitty fast food baked potato, or that's
so
over
good
for
right
me.
now.
That's why you're so hungry. So the cliff notes are that like years later, my mom wanted to go out for dinner, and she was like, "Oh my god, did you just get something quick, like a Wendy's baked potato?" And it was like 8 years later. I was like, "Yeah, I hear they're to die for." Because I legit almost died.
Yeah.
So
Wait,
the lesson.
why were you bleeding?
Oh,
now?
sorry. I had peptic ulcers because they think that's when my ibuprofen allergy started.
Oh.
That's when I became aware of it.
Was it from all the Dramamine?
No, they
Oh.
think it was like literally that ibuprofen, and it's like one of the side effects that it attached itself to my stomach lining, and I was bleeding through 2 holes
Oh my god.
that whole time, and that
Like,
probably wasn't.
Just a sack with blood falling in it.
Yeah, and then when my heart rate went up, it was just like coming out. So yeah, I got a really great endoscopy, and the lesson is that like you have to advocate for yourself.
Yes.
There was another time that my family didn't take me to the hospital when I had a bad stomach ache, and then I needed my appendix out 3 hours later. And it's like if you're good at like tolerating pain, you've got to be an asshole. You have to be like, Mom, hey, look, you're a bitch. Like unacceptable. I'm gonna knock that potato on the floor, and we have to go to the hospital right now. So it's like it doesn't. It's tough when someone isn't reflecting back to you the sense of urgency, but you have to be the one to raise the stakes.
Yeah.
I
Be
agree.
like, mealtime is over.
Yeah.
Take that fucking potato, throw it in the toilet full of blood, and say,
Like,
"Do you want to
eat
eat
it
it now?"
Doing it now, Paula. God damn it! Look at me. I don't even fucking delicious.
Give her a swirly, and then you.
Oh.
Let's go.
I mean,
That's a little intense.
I mean, yeah, Paula wouldn't get it. She's just not like that. But it would definitely be like a zombie movie for me to throw the baked potato in there. But just looking back, like, it was solid bread. Like, there's no way that you could be like, oh, it's just like, maybe just like a little. No, it looked like a crime scene.
It's like, I'm dying.
It attracted the attention of two strangers. Okay, like, it was fucking terrible.
Too strange.
Dude, they're like, someone threw.
Haven't eaten since 11, and I'm really thinking about Wendy's right now.
We should get a Wendy's.
Let's go get some windows. Let's some windows. God, I would love it if we just like follow this up. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And then my last story.
Yeah.
To take it down a note, just like, I do volunteer for gun violence, and I was on campus for the shooting at Virginia Tech in 2007, and I wasn't shot at, and I was in class, and I was 2 buildings away, but it's still it's just like a catastrophic experience, and it's very traumatic. And when people say, well, you weren't shot at, so how do you, like, why do you have such a strong feeling about gun violence? I can say, well, on September 11th, if you weren't in New York, then you shouldn't have any feelings about it.
Right. Right.
And it's the same thing. When someone deliberately changed the doors to shoot people that go to your school, it is very personal. And it's the same thing when someone says an attack on the United States and you're an American. So, there's this really impactful quote that I saw this week that said, just who in your life would have to die for you to care about gun control? And it shouldn't be that anyone has to die.
Right.
And with the group that I've been involved with, Washington Ceasefire, we're a group of people that have been affected by gun violence that just don't want other people to be affected by it. Because there's really no going back.
No.
And every holiday, I think about, like, this is another year that everyone at Virginia Tech, that they don't have this family member. And it's like that for every New Year, every Christmas, or Hanukkah, or every birthday, every 4th of July. Like, there's so many things that happen that remind me of the impact of gun violence from that one experience, and then to the other experiences, like the most random experience or domestic violence experience. Everything is re-triggering, and every mass shooting, it just reminds me that it's weird that people don't understand that September 11th is like these little gun violence things. It's like, if this is domestic terrorism, you felt so much about it in 2001, and it's happening again, but it just seems like it's different when it's someone from your own country.
Right.
So I don't know if we can say that it is a gun issue. It seems like an accessibility issue, and I know, like, not to be funny about it, but when I have a friend who's going through a breakup and she thinks that the solution is to get bangs, and it's always a bad idea, she can't do it if she has scissors. So when people, and when people are hungry, and even if they're on a diet and there are M&Ms or some bad choice in front of them, they'll still do it when they're in that feeling. And if someone has someone to be mad at, and they're mad, and they're like out of options, and they have access to a gun, it's kind of all the same psychological thing.
It's kind of the same reason why statistically men who commit suicide are significantly more likely to succeed, because men are more likely to use a gun. Because you can't, like, it's very final.
Yeah.
There's no...
Like, committed.
Yeah, because, it's just a second.
Wow.
Like, people who commit suicide by, say, cutting their wrists are more likely to survive. Women are more likely to do that because they're less likely to use a gun, or they'll use medication, or things like that, where there is time to get help.
Yeah.
If you've realized that you've made a mistake.
And the other thing is, like, exactly to your point, that suicide is the number one cause of death by guns. So, like, mass shootings get a lot of attention, but people are dying more in suicide, from suicide than from mass shootings. So it's...
I didn't mean to pivot away from gun violence specifically to suicide.
But suicide is a gun violence issue.
Yes.
Totally. And that, I think that's one thing that gets skewed, is that people like, oh, we're just trying to take away Second Amendment rights. Like, it's just about saving lives. That's it. At the end of the day, people just want to save lives, and they don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Yeah. Like, it's not a political issue, it's a human issue. So that's the only thing I want to draw attention to. Amidst my adventures and all of my lessons learned around the world, to just think twice before, maybe not locking up a gun that you have in your own house.
Yeah.
And if someone wants to borrow your gun and you know that they're not happy in their lives, really just don't do it.
Yeah.
That guilt didn't go away.
Yeah, the state of gun violence in the United States has definitely changed my mean, it's not the only thing, but it has definitely contributed to a change in my habits. Like, you know, before, when I, like, I don't know, wasn't paying attention, I would go to, like, a music festival, like Capitol Hill Block Party.
Yeah.
Luckily, when I went, I was able to be in an apartment up in a window looking down. But like I try not to go to big crowded spaces anymore, because it's like that's one of the first things I think about. It's like, what if someone decided to just start shooting people? I would be able to leave. I'm stuck in this crowd of people, and either I get shot or I get trampled or what have you. So like I think it's something that a lot of people haven't really thought about, how much their behavior has changed. Just, this is the new normal. I guess I just can't go to, large places with large crowds of people.
Yeah. It's a sad adjustment that civilians have to make that adjustment. Not that the adjustment is being made at the legal level.
Right.
Yeah. It's really sad.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you for joining us on So What'd You Learn?
I've got no jokes to break the tension.
There's
Wendy's.
Let's
We could go eat.
go get a fucking I'll buy you a baked potato.
All right.
Prophetic coming from me. Hope you choke on it, low key though.
Just make sure to hack it up into the toilet.
Okay, good.
Oh, gross. Well, thank you so much for coming, Wendy.
It was-
Wendy.
And we're out. And we're
so
out.
hungry
And
right
we're back.
now.
My pleasure. Thanks for listening for so long.
But yeah, you can send us an email to our email if you want for us to read a story on the podcast.
I'm hanging in there. It's so what'd you learn? It's so WDYlearn at gmail.com. Send us your stories, your feelings, and we may or may not read them and or take them into consideration. You can follow us on Instagram and Twitter at So WDYlearn podcast.
Pod.
Whatever.
Yeah, you'll find it.
You'll find it because
Podcast
nobody
is too
ever
many letters.
types. People don't even know how to spell it.
Exactly. No.
But yeah, do that. Send us your stuff. Listen to our things. Tell your friends.
Review us on iTunes.
Yeah, I don't.
I can't follow me anywhere because social media is of the devil. But you can follow the podcast. Yeah. Anything you want to plug other than what you've already plugged so far?
I mean, if you need marketing, I do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Cool.
And you can follow me at The Whitney Moore on Instagram.
Sweet.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Cool.
guys.
Cue the guitars.
Whittle, whittle, whittle. The So What Did You Learn podcast is brought to you by the So What Did You Learn network. Theme written and recorded by Jacob Rose. Our logo was designed by Stevie Van Bronckhorst. Further work of hers can be found at stevievanb.com.